If you're here for learning more about how to use competitive data, then you're at the right place. Otherwise, wrong flight. Time to get off now. Um, and so let's go to this. I'm assuming that you guys are at the right place. This is just more of a boilerplate. We repeat it every time. Maybe there are some new people. Justin and I, basically, we are here speaking for Invisible PPC and a little bit of Coolware. So those are the two companies we, as business partners, we co-own. So that's what we do. Invisible PPC is the primary focus today. And here is Justin. And our email addresses are as simple as Avi at Invisible PPC, Justin as Invisible PPC, in case you need to reach out to us. And there is a LinkedIn as well. All right. Okay. I'm going to get to what we'll cover today. So the real stuff. We'll cover, because this data is competitive data. It is for how to use it for business owners. So we will talk about, what really drives the business owner and how can you use that info to your advantage. We will actually run through an actual IPPC prospect pitch, which many of you guys might be already using, but we'll just actually run through as an example. Then we will go through the details of exactly how did we build the pitch, where does the data come from, and then we'll reveal a little bit more about the data. And there is a special offer in this situation. Just to be very upfront, there is actually none of that offer you have to use to. You don't have to use. You don't have to basically take the offer. You still learn how to do a prospect pitch deck. But there is an offer for that in the end. So want to be very clear on that. So what drives a business owner? If you think about, and here in our case, mostly when we talk about business owners, we talk about business owners who are service business, or who need Google ads. So or some other ads. So we are talking about a specific business owner. There might be some business owners. There might be some differences that this might be something they care less about, but generally this applies. But it applies quite a lot to a local business owner, a service business owner. So one is, I want more business. I mean, you can't question that, right? Which business owner does not want more business, right? It's like, that's one of the requirements of business. So the other thing which does drive them is that FOMO, the fear of missing out, that like my competition shows up on Google. When I do search, they're running ads, or their search shows up high. I'm not showing up, so I want to do something about it. This does drive them. And the other one is, if they're already doing marketing, they're wondering, the money they're spending on marketing, is it of value? I'm hearing some crinkling, Justin.
Oh, that's on me. Sorry.
Okay. So, man, you're eating chocolate on the side, huh?
No, I was doing the cube. It's what I do
Oh,
when
you're doing
I'm
the cube.
just.
Okay. Yeah. So, so basically, even if they are doing marketing, they are wondering whether it is worth it. But these are the three things. So let's address these three things, how you can use them for prospecting. So if they want more business, basically, how can they get more business? One is, of course, word of mouth. But they already got that, right? Then they are not coming to you about word of mouth. I mean, they have customers, they get referral. Okay, great. So let's move on. The other two ways is organic search and social. Organic search and social, the best way described, I think the first time I heard it described this way was probably from Ryan Dias. I don't know. If he picked it up from somebody, Justin might know better, who originally used this way of
There's no
describing.
original thoughts in marketing. Someone grabbed it from
Yes, so
somebody
yeah,
else.
somebody
That's
must
all.
have come up with this. But I really like easy way to explain this, that organic and social is like waiting for the rain. You got a field of crops and you want to water it and you wait for the rain. If rain happens right time, great. But that's not a growth strategy. If you're a growing company, and it's not a greater strategy. And what if you could show to that business owner what is their weather forecast, which means how well they're actually doing at it, what is their chance of actually getting results there. So that will help, right? So and finally, with the paid ads, you are building a controlled irrigation system. You can turn it on and off and you get leads. And if you can show them that, they'll help. So basically, pointing out again, they want more business. These are the two things where if you can show them something, hopefully you can win their business for running their marketing. That's what we're going after as a prospect. Moving on to the next one, the FOMO part. How can you take advantage of FOMO? If you can show them exactly what competition is doing, and also you can show them an SEO point of view where they rank and what ads are running and how are those ads performing. If you can show this, you certainly have a very powerful way to tap into their FOMO, that others are doing it, others are doing better. How can I catch up? Finally, the third thing, is current marketing effective? So the first three things which I talked about, the ads running, competition, you can still use, but there is something else you can offer them. If they're already running ads, you can offer them audit. And there are links here. I'm not going to, maybe I'll click on it for a second and come back if I can. So, offer them a audit like this, which is detailed audit, which shows them what's happening with this is a sample audit from us. Many of you guys have seen it. I don't want to take too much time, but just want to show you that it needs to be detailed enough. Hopefully it comes up here.
If you're just doing by tab, it's not going to show up. If you're sharing by window,
There
it
it is.
would.
Okay, so it might not be, so it's not showing for you, right?
No, we can drop the link in the chat so people can take a look at that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I'll do
Justin,
that.
if we can drop the link for the, and it's like, yeah, so that's a learning. Next time, share the desktop, right? So we can click through. Okay, so you can, so there is a whole audit and product brief. You can offer that to them. You can do your own audit, and that's one way to do get that uh, thing going. So basically, these are the three things which you can do. But now, this seems like right now, okay, this is almost like, I mean, to use the phrase, it's like applehood and uh, yeah, motherhood and apple pie, right? This is all good, great, we kind of know, but how is it practically done? How do you actually present it? So Justin is going to actually take us through an actual pitch deck which addresses this issue for example client. Because instead of just saying this is what you need to do, let's show you actually with the data how this is done, right? So Justin, you're on.
Cool. All right. And I'll put yours off the stage for a second.
Perfect. Yep.
Remove. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, what I wanted to dig into here is to show you, what are the points that we cover in a prospect pitch, and vice versa, what you should be covering in every prospect pitch that you're doing, and being able to utilize and touch upon all three of the questions that Avi had mentioned before. So here's an example. This is a live one. I changed the client name. So like if you're one of our agency partners in here, you're like, oh my gosh, they're sharing somebody's. This isn't actually somebody's. This is somebody's, but we changed the names to protect the innocent in this case, both in terms of the agency name as well as the client name. So here's just the general lowdown, and feel free, like, make sure to, let us know what you think about this, and to ask questions in the chat. I can address them as they're coming through. Like, hey, why did you decide to pick like those reports? How did you get those types of things? Any of that type of stuff as we're digging into this, please, please, please throw into the chat there. So let's dig in. So this is how we generally kick things off. Like, it's a standardized deck. It makes sure to have your name, like, throughout the deck, kind of make sure your branding's there and those types of things. But hey, Google PPC ads, competition, and name of the company. So stay cool here. So one, you're highlighting, cool, we're going to be going to what you're doing here, as well as kind of tapping into that FOMO, because how many people have heard clients are like, hey, such and such company are doing this thing, I want to do it too. Sometimes that's valid, sometimes that's invalid, and that's what we want to make sure that we can speak to here. So within any presentation, you want to start with explaining where you're going with things, right? So you kick it off. Here's what we're going to be looking at. Who are your competitors that's dealing with FOMO? Are they running Google PPC ads or not? What's the opportunity? What keywords are they running ads for? What's the competition look like? How much are they paying for each keyword? Like, can you Do the ad, like, does it stack up in your favor? Are they going to outprice you? What does their ad copy look like? Can you get an, like, being able to actually see what they're saying to attract business is a great way to get companies to lean in a little bit further with you. Which of their ads are ranking the highest, and like, and how much is their impression share? Like, what are they seeing? How is their website performing compared to yours, right? And then what is your website overall performance score? So that's the standard template that we do here to kind of lean into the what, how do they get more business? How do they address competition? And then also to let them know, like, how are things currently going with you by giving a comparative landscape, right? So let's, and then we conclude with, hey, how we can help other clients like you. So you want to make sure at the beginning, you make sure you frame what you're going to be doing at the end, which actually Avi did during this call too, to frame that if you stay to the end, we do have a promotion for you, just to give you the permission to make asks, right? And granted, you're on a sales call when you're doing this, or you've been on a sales call at some point when you're sending this to them. But this is a good thing to prime right at the beginning of the presentation. All right, so let's dig into competitive landscape first. We like using this type of terminology. It might not fit for you. You might be like, hey, like, what are your opportunities? But I love leading into, like, who's stealing your leads? Like, that is tapping in to that fear of missing out, like that fear of loss, right? And how we broke this down was like, hey, these are the actual competitors. We identified 5 of the main competitors. Actually, we didn't identify them. The client identifies their main competitors. What you're going to see is the people they're competing with oftentimes aren't the competitors they've identified, because there's a lot of people that are using the auction system within Google PPC. We do an additional slide that, you know, showcases, hey, they're making sure, like, you know, here's their brands, and it's just kind of a bit of eye candy there. Then we do competitive and paid ad activities. So here's the business names. Are they running Google ads? As it stands right now, only one of the competitors is running Google, identified competitors is running Google ads. That doesn't mean that only one person is running for an AC company is running Google ads. There's plenty of them doing it, but it's showing from their identified competition, people who are closest to them, there's a significant opportunity with Dunn and Williams there only being the one saying yes. Here's the other opportunity. Stay Cool is doing none of them, right? So they're not even playing the game yet, which is a massive opportunity for one, answering question 1 and question 2. Oops, I think I double clicked there. So let's look at the Google PPC. And so you'd break this down, this next section, Google PPC activities of whoever's running the ads, and you break them down into those. Just because we had one, we had pulled these up. And so we're looking at, like, what keywords were associated here, and then just the standard types of ad sets that you're seeing. And they're kind of really basic, nothing standing out here. It looks like they're using some dynamic work, but overall, pretty uninspired ads. So there's some serious opportunities. So if they're saying, hey, this is our main competition, and their ads kind of stink, there's some real opportunity there. Vice versa, if you're seeing ads that are great, or ads that are all pitching the same type of offer, that'll prime you to discuss that level of opportunity in terms of how do you get more business? Is my marketing effective? And tapping into fear of missing out. So what we do next, so that's just the identified competitors. Then we want to share, hey, here's what ad performance looks like in that last week for kind of your main identified keywords. And what you're going to notice here is that none of these, none, are the actual competitors that they had mentioned, right? So they're not thinking about the true competitive landscape. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. That's saying your marketing is going to be ineffective because you can't even identify these folks. Good thing you're talking to me on this call right now, right? So you can really lean into those types of things. But yeah, you can see here, like, here's the actual ad copy, kind of the ad headline, kind of the breakdown in the copy, what triggered it. So what keyword triggered AC repair, the region that it showed up to, and frequency. Avi, could you talk real quickly on that frequency number? Because that's the one I always screw up whenever I talk about it.
Yeah.
I figure I'll
So
let you do it.
basically, if you are doing this analysis for 1 week, and if you're doing it at hourly rate, so it's 7 times 24 times is the maximum possible. So that's a frequency, is the number which reports how many times in those tests it showed up.
Mhm.
That number would be better represented as a percentage of the time, and we'll talk about it, that we plan to change that. But right now it says that, hey, number of slots we checked, how often did the ad appear? So
Okay,
that's
great.
what.
No, thank you for that one. That's the one I always bungle. And Brett had a really, really, really great question. Like, what's the best way to use this insight? And he said he had suggested best performing ads. That's one way to look at it. It's also ads that are showing up the most. What keywords are triggering those ads? Whether they're in your specific locations where you're spending the most time. Avi, anything else that you think that would be a good use of this data set here?
Uh, so yes. So basically, this is to look at what's happening, top performing ads, to for sure. This data set, no, but the keywords it could be used differently. Say you wanted to know if somebody's competing on your brand, you could run the same study with your brand name, and then you'll know who all is running ads at what times using your brand name. And I probably will show a live version of that, and when we get to it. So that's the other good use. So one is finding out what all ads are running, which are top performing ad. Other is anybody else competing on your keyword, exactly knowing and how often, and when they're competing, what kind of ad are they showing. One of the things to look for is, in case in their ad, if they're using your name in the ad, you can go to Google and get the ad stopped, right? And then if you did it like you say, oh, I can search it in Google, you cannot, because depending on where your client is, where the location is, and how often you test. Because if you go and search yourself once, that's once only. This data set is actually running over a period, running every hour, every half an hour, every 2 hours, over 7 to 10 days. It's not a one-time test. It's not a sampling. It's actually.
Yeah, I like that. It's not sampling and it's not anecdotal. Yeah. Similar here. This is just another example of what we were talking about here. And I think if you look back at between the last two, a lot of people, there's two messaging like mentioned price and headline, three that mentioned price and headlines, talk a lot about top valuable, unbeatable prices. They're all going price centric. So that's going to tell you one of two things. And that's what you need to be thinking about in terms of your ad messaging and your ad testing. That's going to be saying, hey, either price is the one thing that matters that's going to get people to click, or that message is oversaturated and you need to pivot. One of those two things will happen, and that's when you start kind of like using this to glean in. The screen sliders are yeah. Sorry about that, Russell. Probably just from is it the screenshot or there's
It's
probably
probably
a
from
lot of
the
things
screen.
there. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
probably from the screenshot that we had. So
yeah,
apologies there. Um, I think we could probably share the deck at some point too, so they can get a better look at it, because it's probably a mix between
yeah.
screenshot and
And we'll see. We'll show this live too
yeah.
in a minute. So
Cool. Yeah. And so this same deal here. I like what people are doing. Affordable same day service. That's a nice change. And you can see actually this is a different brand that's doing it. Which it was clearer earlier. Huh. Interesting. Maybe it's my screen because I switched over to me. Well, I'll keep going on there. People, if you can let me, if it's unbearable, we can test out some other things. I'm going to keep going through this, but yes, Russell, thank you for the feedback there, because again, new platform, still trying to figure out the nuances of it. But yeah, I do like what's changed here in terms of a lot of same day service. So you went, hey, a lot of folks going after pricing, other folks going after, hey, same day. It's full screen for me, Anna. Okay, so so the next step is then to compare. So now we've talked about, hey, here's your competitive landscape. Here's the top performing stuff. Where do you fit in? This one gets really simple, at least for the, so it's saying website total traffic, and this is going to be, and obviously my assumption here is that this is traffic from paid ads, because I'm assuming this website
yeah.
at least existed at some point. It does
Did you
exist,
change?
so
Did you change slides? I mean, it's still showing top performing ads.
it should say, does it say total traffic? Let me go off
No.
stage, and that's probably, okay, there's probably a breakage there. Let
Yeah,
me
something
do
happened.
this, remove, add to stage. How's that?
Still not showing yet. Says on.
Hmm.
Yeah, there it is. Yep, it's here now.
Okay, can you see it? All right, so
Yep.
there is a bit of a bit of a lag. Okay, so total traffic, I'm assuming here, this is total PPC traffic because they do have a website that would, unless their website absolutely gets zero traffic. But in this case, this is where you'd be breaking down kind of where does it stand in terms of total traffic coming from that source. Obviously, their two identified competitors are beating them significantly. Domain authority. Avi, do you want to talk through domain authority a little bit?
Yeah, so the domain authority is what determines if two sites have same keyword showing up on both, which one will show up higher in a search. So domain authority is the measure which kind of Google uses. Now they don't publish the domain authority directly, but there are ways to infer domain authority. There are tools which give you that, right? So think about this way. So if I'm searching for plumber, two websites, which of the two will rank higher? The high, if for the same keyword and same area, and the one which has higher domain authority for will always rank higher. If all else being equal,
Mm,
if they had same kind
yeah,
of a content and things like that.
yeah. Yeah, and in this case, I mean, and so this is going to be talking more about organic rankings and those types of things. So how are they doing there? It's less to do with the overall PPC side of
Yeah,
things
this is
because
more of SEO. Yeah.
this isn't just PPC oriented. We want to be showing a standard competitive breakdown. That's the goal. But Stay Cool kind of doing well here. So in terms of they're doing well in comparison, not a great domain authority, but they're at least not the worst. Radicals and not the worst by a margin. Okay, going into backlinks, they're struggling.
So
And
you're frozen again. It seems like you're still on domain authority.
is it changed yet?
Yes, now changed
Okay,
backlinks.
so there's just more of a lag. Okay,
Okay,
I'll
okay,
slow down when I move into those.
okay.
But in backlinks, you're just saying again, how are you comparing? This is tapping in to the effectiveness and fear of missing out. That's the point of this entire section. So I don't need to kind of break down what's happening as much as why it's important to highlight these things. And when you're talking about backlinks here, like we all know that backlinks are some of the most important things, indicators for Google from an SEO perspective, and that means at least from a weather forecast perspective, in terms of when Dunn and Williams Air can expect it to rain and create leads for them, they have a much better forecast than your client at Stay Cool, right? Okay, so next.
And wait a second, not changed yet.
And anything? That's on.
It's still showing backlinks. Let me see if I remove my share. Is it
Yeah.
bandwidth issue or what? No, it's still
Okay.
showing backlinks on your side.
Interesting. Okay, let me try it again. Remove, stop share. I'll try it one more. Try it again. Window. All right.
Yeah,
Good?
page. Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully it holds on to it. And yeah, and again, this is an experiment on our end as well. Number of web pages. This again is just another, is my marketing being efficient? Like if they were paying somebody to do SEO for them, their SEO stinks, their backlinks stink, and they have a small website, that's an easy case for you to say you probably shouldn't be working with that agency anymore. So just this is another case of how are we performing from an organic search perspective, again giving like a breakdown into their current marketing efforts. Moving into the last bit, again, is my marketing or is even my development doing what it should? We do website performance reviews in here. So we've talked about, hey, where's the opportunity from your irrigation system? So are you able to actually create leads on demand using paid ads? Are you setting yourself up for a great weather forecast, looking at the overall comparison from not just PPC, but also from an organic ranking side of things? And then now digging into like even if you had all those things in play, are people going to actually be able to take the action because the site's performing at an optimal level? And then leading into that, are my development and marketing development side of things working the way they should? So this is kind of like the final answer to that third question there. And then this is a good breakdown, and Avi will break down where all of these things are coming from after I get through the rest of the pitch here. But this is just going to be sharing, what is that opportunity area? If you're not a technical person, you might glean over this, but this is a good aha moment for a lot of clients if they see that performance is in the yellow or in the red. This is yellow, so it might be less of an issue. It might be less of a zinger for them, but in a lot of cases, you're going to see clients that are hanging in that red area there because the site's not properly set up. Again, here, performance grades on
So
desktop, kind of like, go ahead.
yeah, I was just saying that it had not changed. It changed. So it
Okay,
takes a while.
yeah,
It seems like the slide changes.
okay, so that one changed again. Whew. All right,
Yep.
so kind of same deal here. Again, this isn't going to be that thing that makes them really go, oh yeah, so I wouldn't spend as much time here. Like, and depending on where the opportunity area is when you're using a pitch like this, that's where you dictate where you spend the time, right? So I wouldn't spend too much time here, especially with this next slide coming up, which is kind of the overall latest performance. So, hey, you're killing it. So this wouldn't be as effective. So question 3 wouldn't be a hard like, am I getting my money's worth from this side of things? Like, it seems like you have things pretty well in order. After all that's said and done, so now you've laid it down for them and shown them some of the opportunities. Then you transition. This is when you transition into your actual pitch of things. So like, why sign up with us to run your PPC ads or to run whatever you're doing? In this case, it would be a PPC pitch. One, because we've handled this many clients and counting. If you're working with us, you can claim this because that's exactly the number in this particular. If you're not working with us, just use your client count. And then we like to stress how many people we've worked with, as well as total budget managed for the lifetime of those accounts. I know spend doesn't always equal success, but it means opportunity for success. And that's what the clients are going to see there. So these are 2 pretty solid numbers that'll get people thinking, okay, they know their stuff enough. Then we get into a breakdown of like a case study. So utilizing some points here over a 90-day period, we're working with an HVAC installations. This is all building proof. So you've pivoted into the pitch, said why you matter. Here's exact proof. Deliver this many impressions at this click-through rate, number of conversions with an average CPA of 157%. Looking pretty good there.
Uh, yeah, it finally showed up. High
Oh,
converting.
it did?
It went to the landing page, by the way. It skipped, it
Okay.
seems like.
Okay. What
Yeah,
are you seeing now?
I'm seeing landing page right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, and then the next step is on the last slide, which I don't think you saw, I'll go back to real quick. We break down, it's the 90-day, here's the standard metrics. Most companies don't care about these metrics, they care about more jobs, but this is also just showing, okay, like we have a level of competency here. If they don't understand marketing metrics, you don't have to spend much here, saying, hey, it costs us about 150 bucks over 90 days to get a lead. Does that look
Yeah,
good for
probably
you?
they care about that, right? CPA, that it'll cost
This is the one.
150.
This is the one they care about the most.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah, so okay.
Everything else is just pure marketing talk, which they don't care about as much. And then you have your max conversion, so the conversion rate at 32%, which leads into this next page, this landing page. Like here's an example design of our landing pages that get that high, that double digit, that mid 30% conversion rate, right? Like, and if they don't know their conversion rates, it's less powerful, but I think they should know, like they know, they have a feeling if something's performing well or not, and you can definitely lean into that at this stage. All right. And then you move into, hey, here's what you can expect working with us. And then this is where you throw in your estimates. So that's where you can use either our smart niche sheets or our performance estimate requests. Either one of those will provide you at least these ranges to get them a better understanding of what does the total investment look like in terms of like cost per lead, number of leads that they get, and then how much they'd have to be spending each month to get those types of leads. Gets very very transactional at that point, but it lets them understand what things are going to look like there. In these cases as well, we also like to say during the pitch that, hey, these are once the account is kind of seasoned, it take in the first like 60 to 90 days, expect to be on that upper bound, if not maybe 10 to 15% above that upper bound until we have enough data coming through.
Yeah, this one interesting here that we get this request quite a lot that we don't have enough data on Australia. Actually, this one is specifically for Australia. That $8 there. So
Yeah,
we have
I don't.
US, of course, we have a lot more data. Australia, we have a little lesser, but we do have some on Australia
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. And then you go into the final part of questions and comments. Let them do their thing. Then CTA, let's get this going. You generally put in your costs and those things there, what it looks like. We also include a glossary because people might not know what these are and they might be too afraid to ask on the call, or just don't care to ask on the call. This is a good reference point. So we'll move this on. Avi, I'll let you take. I'll let you take.
You want me to try just and see if whatever reason that hiccup which we are seeing.
Yeah. I think if you take it this time, then yeah, then we can see that. And then so Avi will answer a lot of the questions like how do we build these decks? So I at least I hope people listening today got an understanding of like the psychology and kind of like the framework behind these decks themselves and why we structured them in that way. Um, and then it comes down to like, well, how the heck do you get all of this data? And Avi will be sharing that. And it looks like you're in, so I will add to stage.
Trying to find my place.
Yeah.
All right, here it is. Can you do you see? You guys see the new slide with me carrying the sauce bottle
The
there or
Bitmoji
no?
Sriracha. Yeah, let us know
Yeah.
in the chat if you can see. Come on, come on, come on.
Yes, we good?
People
Okay,
tend
I'll
to
go.
tell us when things are broken more so than when they're when they're working. So
Okay, all right.
if we're hearing
So
nothing, that should be
let's
good.
get it. So there were main questions were where did this come from? Okay, yeah, I can enlarge it. Let me see what I can do here. Go to the full mode.
Yeah, full mode requires you sharing the entire. Are you sharing the entire window?
I'm sharing entire window
Yeah,
now.
so then just you'll just have to press play on presentation.
Yeah,
Yep, and then you should be
there it
good.
is.
There.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's do this. So what I did was I took the same slides. Best way to explain this was there were some slides there. You kind of can tell they're boilerplate. It's the same. They show up every time. So those are easy. You can just copy those. Once you get the presentation, you can make your own and just change a little bit. So there are some was boilerplate text. It appears again and again. It doesn't matter which client you have. You're just changing the name. Other styles, the other ones are from the source is ppcreveal.ai for this, the competitive data, which the question was asked by quite a few people. Trying to see the names here. Yeah, so quite a few Asim started asking this, and few others, that where is this data coming from? So these slides came from there. So I thought I'll put it in perspective from slides. This one was the one which we talked quite a lot. Yeah, at least on my screen, I can read these ones. So I don't know if you guys can also. But yeah, so this is the one which Justin was taking you through those ads and top performing ads. That came from PPC Reveal as well. This data came from SEMrush, the domain authority one, and the speed performance data came from Google and GTmetrix. Google one is free. GTmetrix they have a free version also, but there is a paid version as well with API. So that kind of gives you a sense. So I'm going to flip through, and I'll talk more in a minute. But if you'll notice that the real data, which is really cool and important, and a lot of it comes from PPC Reveal, right? So that's the this one is actually I'm sorry, this is a typo. It should say it came from our internal history. It's the more of a invisible PPC's history. That's where this one is coming from, because that's where it is. So yeah, I never got around to fixing this one. So after seeing all this, like with the in chat, who wants to know more about PPC Reveal and want to see this in live? So if you want to put in a why, yes, one, something in the chat, if you're interested in that, we'll get into it. Nobody?
Well, Rash said they don't see a website for it. It's because we haven't even really launched the website outside of the application.
Yes.
So like this is us
All
actually
right.
taking our internal process, our internal tool, and sharing it right now with everybody versus having a
Yes.
full-on
So we'll get into
workplace.
it because I want to show you live that how this works. Do want to also, before I go live and show, I want to tell you the roadmap also. Right now, as I said, the competitive website ranking and domain ranking data comes from external sites. We want to include that in internally, so you can directly get it in there, so you don't have to go to a third party tool, because right now this tool is used by us, right, internally. That's how we build all these decks. So we want to just kind of, we realize that, hey, we have to go to two different tools. We want to bring that data in. So that will be, that's our plan, is to include it in the reports. Which we export right now from the tool is currently PDF. But we felt like when we present, we do Google Slides mostly. So we would want directly to be exported to Google Slides instead of a PDF. So then you can edit and add things on it. So that's a part of the roadmap. Also, we realized that as you will see the tool, that you have to think few things. Do you want to do it hourly, weekly? So we realized that most of the time we do the same thing. So it'll be nice to have a recipe. You click and say, this competition, just run this recipe and produce the report, instead of you making choices between all different options. um, and we want to do that as well. uh, and then this is the last one, which will come last. If you notice, the domain is AI. The reason for domain for AI is what we've been experimenting with is the fact we have so much data, we are and so many ads run, we are able to use that data internally. We already do this, and run some heuristics with machine learning, and flag a ad account by saying, this is wrong, go and try changing this. Because if you think about it, if you have run 100 accounts, so for plumbing, you know what happens every time. And if you take that data, run it through a machine learning query, and come back and say, look at this account now and compare. Just to be clear, by the way, this is not chat gpt, this is not just a language model, this is the good old, the machine learning AI part of it, where it will generate the heuristics and find out what all is off based on the other ads which have run, and be able to flag it first, and then in some cases fixes automatically. So that's the other thing we want to add. This will take a little longer, because right now we are experimenting and it's very manual, the flag and fix. But the other things which you see, the just adding automation and producing reports and all, I think that'll happen much more quickly. So that's the roadmap. So now I want to show you directly the tool. It's missing. There it is. So let's go to the tool. And I think I'm sharing the whole thing. So yeah, screen showed up fine,
Yep,
right,
I can see it at
Justin?
least.
Yeah. So hopefully all of you guys are seeing the login screen.
I think from
Yeah.
earlier too, Brett had shared that there's a lag between, I think, the video and the audience. And so did you
Yeah.
see all those yeses come in like crazy, like after the fact?
Uh-huh.
So I
Yeah.
think that that's just one of those scenarios. So it looks like
Yeah.
people are seeing the screen now though.
Yeah. So we have a little problem with this platform, right?
Maybe we might be Zoom bound again.
Yeah, we might go back to Zoom. Yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to sign in. And you'll see, by the way, this is like a kind of our experimental internal login, my login. So you'll see a bunch of stuff here. So, and basically, add a reveal is best. This is we call them reveals, each one. You can name it, choose the area where you want to go, how many times you want to run. This is what I was talking about. There are fixed recipes. You can daily, every 2 hours. So just to be clear, this is the most important one to understand what happens. What is this tool doing? I'm a strong believer in not building or talking about a service as a black box. You should know what it is doing, and so though you know the capability. So if you didn't have this tool, you wanted to see ads, the way you would do this is either get a VPN. So you want to say find out ads in running in Austin, Texas. We are in Austin, Texas, and say you're an agency in Chicago. You will find a VPN, find Austin's, set up Austin VPN, then go and type the keyword. Then, if you want it for 24 hours, every 1 hour you'll go and type the keyword. If you had 5 keywords, you'll type all 5 of them every 1 hour. Then, if you want to do that for a whole week, you'll do it for a whole week. Now, if they said, "Oh no, Austin is not enough. I want to be really in Westlake Hills of Austin," now you got to find a VPN, which you actually cannot find for Westlake Hills, right? In fact, it's hard to find Austin VPN. Most VPNs are Dallas because they're only some big cities, etc. So you know the challenge what I'm talking about, because so that is what you want. You want to be able to search exactly in the location you want, and especially when you do Google ads, they are very, I mean, we do ads by zip codes, so you want to be able to search at that level and know exactly with these keywords who all are running ads. If you could do that manually, the other way would be you fly to that place and do it. That's exactly what this tool is doing. There's no magic, no trickery. It basically goes to a IP in that location and does the actual search every hour or every 2 hours, whatever the service is set up to, and produces that data. Is that making sense to you guys? With one in the chat, if that's making sense, that what it is doing. There is no, I don't believe in magical tools. I believe in tools which are they have a utility value and they have a very logical, clean reason how it is done. There's no black box. So any of the things, including when we talk about the machine AI, it's not there is exact heuristic logic. It's not like we have invented something which others cannot. You can, but it takes a work. You have to come up with algorithms, etc. So that's just want to be very, very clear. That's what we are trying to do with this. Okay, so that's how you set up the reveal. Then manage reveals is, of course, once you have set them up. Um, um, if the location is so specific, we do have a capability. We might not release it openly, where you can actually add locations very specifically by lat long. We found that sometimes the location is so specific, I want the go to the technical level of be able to add and name my own location. So we do have that capability right now. So let's go to manage some reveals, and let's do one where we kind of know it's our client, so there's no much risk of anything bad happening or anybody complaining, right? So in this case, this is the WCR branding. We were interested in knowing who is searching for these. Windy City Router is the company. We wanted to know that who else is actually running ads for competing against directly our client, Windy City Router, and three possible variations of the name. And this is what we found. So these are the advertisers, of course, self, and these two other companies are bidding against them. And our client was very, very surprised in this case, that saying, oh, those guys are competing. We thought they were huge. They would not be competing against us. They are, which means they must think we are big. That kind of insight. So these two companies are competing against, and here is how often they're competing. And actually, even better, this one, which was not in the slides, by the way. This actually shows, because this started, by the way, this test I started just a few days back, and I kind of did it for in some ways for you guys to do a fresh test. So this one, because it started just recently, so it's filling in and saying Tuesday there were five times, and this is actually time. So it shows actually the when the ads were running. And then the other question would be the ad copy. Now you hopefully answers the question, where do you get that? Where did you get that the screenshots you saw? So here is the actual ad copy. So this is, so they're running against that keyword. If you notice, it's a general ad. So they're saying professional plumbing services, best plumbing service 24/7, Chicagoland's trusted plumbing service. If they had used here Windy City Rural as a name, then we could have gone to Google and complained, hey, they're using a trade name. They're not allowed to use it within the ad. They can, in the keyword they can, but here we can. And this is the only way to find it. It'll be very difficult for anybody to randomly find that somebody is running ad, because when you type, they might not be running, and you might be typing it in an area where they're not running, right? So it's a, so this is very, very powerful to know what's happening in any of the areas. Also, we have what we found is, in this case, there are not that many ads. If there are a lot of ads, because I'm giving an example of just this one, maybe I guess I could go to some other example where we have more choices, but you could actually filter the ads. We found is that if there is a lot of them, we wanted to be able to filter by location. In this case, there's only one location, or by keyword. So I'm interested in only this one. So it'll filter out and show only those ads in this situation. So you can filter that. You can export as a PDF. That's what I was talking about. PDF export already exists for everything. And advertisers, the visibility, keyword count, average ad position. So all that is reported in this one. So I think because this is like a interactive tool, so I think I'll rather take questions and answer any questions.
Awesome. So yeah, if you have any questions about, I think, the tool, or even like how to use the data, why we did this way, why we've been using the tool like this, really whatever you want to do, the stage is yours, until like we pivot to when I tell you about our special offer that we talked about at the beginning of the call. We'll give everybody a bit of a second there, Avi. I know there's been a delay.
Yeah, this seems to be
And interestingly, with this, I think they're just porting this over a different webinar cast tool, and they're white labeling it as their own.
you think?
So
Yeah.
yeah. So we have a first question from Russell. Is PPC Reveal able to be used effectively in Australia?
Yes. No restriction. It's the same, exactly same idea. You enter the areas, you do the, yep, absolutely.
Great. Next one that came in. Would you ever, so if you were doing a live demo, would you show the tool, would you open this tool live for a customer, or would you use
I
it,
would
or would you just
not,
take the data
because
and put it somewhere
one of
else?
the things, if you noticed, I kind of rushed through. There are some experiments I've done with the names of the customers, others, so you don't want to show other customers you're working with. That's the reason I would not. I would just produce the reports from here.
Yeah, great question, Chip.
Yeah. But that's a, I mean, like if we find, I mean, that's a good question for other reason. If we find there is a need, then we might have to build something to hide everything else, and they just
Yeah.
show, they stay in one environment only,
Another
right?
another option too, we did this back in the true conversion days, was to have shareable links that show up in, so it shows up
Report.
in the browser and they could just go to that versus
Yes, yeah,
an
yeah. We could
export.
certainly do that, which is only will show those things, right? The
Yeah,
it'll basically limit it to those ones.
exactly.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. We do have, yeah. I think I don't want to get too technical on it. We have a ability to masquerade as users and things like that to test. But yeah, let's not get into that.
Great.
But
Any other burning questions from you folks? All right. Well, I
I
guess we can
think,
just move. Wait, there we go. So from Riley. So essentially, oh, there we go. We're getting more coming in. Great. Um, so essentially, this tool scans to see what keywords companies are using in their ads and show if they're using your company. Oh, geez, a lot. Um, and shows if they're using your company name. Oh, so Riley is focused more on kind of that one use case that you talked about, like if you were looking at branded ads.
yes. So the
Yeah,
branded ad is the one use case, but other one would be is just who else is competing. So let's stick with plumber, for example. So anybody competing. I'm going to stick with Chicago because that's where that one was. So in Chicago, you are serving Chicago area, greater Chicago area. Any good plumber who's running ads there. There will be 3 or 4 or 5 keywords which they must be bidding. If they're running ads, they must be bidding on. One is plumber, for example, might be sewer repair, leak repair. You can take all those 5 keywords, feed it in here, and find everybody who's running ads and for those keywords at every hour for last 7 days. The recommended scenario we like to use is all the reports we do is we do a report either running every hour or every 3 hours for last 7 days. Just to be clear, this data, unlike SEMrush, etc., SEMrush is a sampling, whatever they had collected, they had seen in the market, and it's all data. This is actually what happened in last 7 days. This is no statistical, there's no database from it where it is pulling from. It actually goes there exactly at that time, types the keyword, gets the data, and saves it for you. So you cannot, so you need if you want if you're going to report 7 days window, you cannot have a report before 7 days because you need to run it for 7 days. If you want 3 days, I mean, that's one option. Just run last 3 days. The reason I like 7 days, it includes the weekend. So you get to see the weekend schedule. So that's 7 days a optimal. Beyond 7 days, it's not of much value. Then there'll be a seasonal value. You run it after 3 months. You want to see what has changed, right? That'll be the scenario to use. All
Yeah.
right. Did I hopefully answer that question, Justin?
It sounds like it. So yeah, Riley, it's not just it's not just a brand protecting your branded keyword tool by any means. It is giving you the ability to see for any keyword, like what ads are triggering in general locations and at what frequency. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of different ways to utilize the tool
Yeah. So
here.
the question about you have to meet them, actually, you don't. So say this is how I will prospect.
Mhm.
So let's say you want to target a plumber in Chicago. You find a name. You say this is a good size business. Then you look for a few competition of theirs, right, on your own, and collect some data, run some keywords. Those keywords will tell you who all is running ads. They must be competition automatically because they're running ads. If you
Mhm.
find the one you have targeted, they are not running any ads, you already have a story that, hey, all these people are running ads, you're not. If they're running some ads and others are running, if their ads are not very good, you can go and say, hey, I looked at your ads, they're not very good. Or if everything is good and they're running ads and they tell me, I already have a marketing agency, then you offer them, which I talked about, the audit. Say, okay, how about we audit your ads for you and see if we can do better. So in case everything is like you tried everything and they already feel happy with their,
Mhm.
which is quite common, they might not know what they're missing and they might say, I'm okay with it, whatever, I don't want to change.
Yeah.
Then you offer them an audit. So that's how I would prospect. So it's, of course, if you have had a pre-talk with them and they're willing to give you competition, then even better, because you can
Mhm.
surprise them that what you thought competition is not competition. That was the case in case of what Justin's example,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think that's a really good call out. I'd be the one note of caution is I'd always be wary of saying like, hey, your ads might be, even if their ads suck, you might not want to say that to them in the like that's the it depends on how you're doing things. That's just one way. That's one way of getting like a meeting. It's also one way to get a never meeting. Like so no meeting. So
Yeah.
be careful there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think in these cases, yeah, you don't need to meet with them. You're going to see the competition regardless. Like you can put their brand in there and you'll see who's showing up. And that shows that you've done pre-work in. And then how I would do this also, I'd be like, hey, such and such company. I took a look at the competitive landscape, like the competitive landscape in for your business, and I noticed that such and such companies are popping up. Are you curious how you're how you compare? If so, let's hop on a call. Or hey, I have a report. And if you're interested, I'll send it right over to you, and then we can jump on a call. That's how I do it because you could say it shows you did the pre-work. So like, hey, I know who at least people you would potentially identify as your competition, and then you can even have it more open-ended. Is there anybody else that you'd be curious about how they're performing? Like, let me know. There's a lot of different ways to utilize messaging to stand out from just jerks that are like, hey, I can get you more meetings, or hey, do you want your business to grow? This is a very interesting way for you to show that you've done the work when you don't have to do too much of it. Most of it's done for you at a click of a button. Cool. And so, Chip, I think that also answered your sales process question. If these are people you've already talked to and you're saying, hey, like, I have this, I'll do a whole competitive analysis on this for you. You can get them to give you that data, but generally the tool will inadvertently tell you exactly who's competing when you start seeing the ads and who they're done by. All right. We had one, if a prospect comes to know the brand keywords are used by competitors and he thinks that he's already doing good, then why would he take my Google ad service? That's when you come into the audit side of things. So Avi, you
Yeah.
already talked about that one.
Yeah.
Like, hey, great, you think you're doing great. Guess what? I actually run a paid audit. It costs about $500. I'll take a look and see where your opportunity areas are. If you like what you see, awesome. If you want to work with me, great. If you're just going to use this on your own, okay, cool, whatever. But it's a good entry point way there.
So Janine, I think Janine is it will this tool will not fill in the tool keywords for you. You pick the keywords and it tells you who all is running the ads. And if you're
Mhm.
looking for what other keywords which are there, the Google tool, the keyword research tool, shows you all the other keywords which are related to that,
Mhm.
right? So this tool does not go and find all keywords. And I would not use this tool for all the 100 keywords. because what you're looking for is finding true competition. All you need is the top high volume keywords, 4 to 5. That's all. Now, you could do a deep research for one specific keyword which you are very curious about, that what happens with it, or 2 or 3, because they're long tail, but you're really interested. Does anybody even use this keyword? And what happens when they use, what kind of ads do they run? For
Mm-hmm.
sure. That is great. But running it for 100 or 1,000 keywords is not the right way to do this, right? Because a lot of Google ads refinement eventually happens through running through the ads. And actually, I mean, this is perfect. It dovetails into what we are talking about, our methodology of automatically finding and changing things for you based on the past data set. They'll come in because there we have, for plumbing, we probably have few thousand keywords, and then we have 4 or 5 thousand negative keywords. That combination applies to every plumbing. We can use those and
Mm-hmm.
insert automatically and try what works. That's where you want to leverage the historical data of all the ads you've run, and that's
Yeah.
what we want to add
Mm-hmm.
as a flag signal. But this is more research, figuring out very specifically competitive or any specific keyword what's happening. So
Yeah.
hopefully that answers that.
Yep. And that actually came. So I think you kind of addressed what the next two questions were. But the first, does your platform have built-in outreach? No, and it won't. The goal for this isn't to be an outreach tool; it's to support your outreach and also be the tool that helps you kind of get clarity and
There is,
an understanding of
yeah, our
the layout.
platform does not have built-in outreach, and that's one thing we will not do ever,
Yep.
because
Yep.
we are building the PPC reveal, a PPC, figure out what's happening, improve PPC, and leverage that. We are not building a prospecting tool.
No.
And also, what we have found is that all the best tools, they do their part best. So for outreach, there are so many. Of course, we will provide connections and
Mm-hmm.
automations of reports going to other tools, right? So we want to provide all those, through Zapier, through APIs, that. But once the tool starts saying that, hey, they do everything, that's where they start feeling. Ours is like, hey, we are going to be and are at some stage already, but will become more of a PPC premium tool. So
Yep.
that's what we are
Mm-hmm.
adding here.
And then that final piece there, in terms of non-performing keyword searches, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah,
that like that would.
absolutely. GHL integration absolutely will be something we'll consider before anything else, because that's a very popular platform with a lot of agencies who work ourselves use GHL for a lot of stuff with our clients. So absolutely. So that integration will happen before others,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So
and we like the folks there too.
yeah,
They're a great company overall.
yeah.
Cool. So like for the folks of you, if there's any other questions that come through, we'll try to get to them as well. But I'd be remiss if I didn't kind of follow up on the thing of saying, hey, we have this offer. I need to tell you about it. So as you could see, there is no website for this yet. Like we the only marketing material for this is literally in here. In
Yes,
this call,
yes.
because we're taking what was our internal tool and we're opening it up to the public. So because of that, we wanted to open up that with a special deal for everybody here. So for the first 50 users that come in, they get access to to the product that will get you, 5,000 credits per month, which is enough for about 10 client pitches. Get you the keyword Google search data and how it connects to the ads, the live Google search ads, ad frequency and scheduling, locations and targeting, all that stuff. We're planning to launch this at 147 a month or 1470 a year. But for the first 6 months, for anybody for the first 50 folks that sign up, that you can get access for 6 months for $147. If you're interested, there's a link here. We'll have it in the follow up as well. But yeah, that's kind of the pitch there. It will, after in month 7, you will begin to be billed regularly at 147 a month. Hopefully, you're seeing so much value from this that that's not even that's a drop in the bucket for what we're bringing in. And it absolutely will be for the first 6 months. So yeah, that's kind of the offer there. So get in early, and you'll have a lot of opportunities to watch this thing grow, and to help support you in your business.
So
Uh,
question from Shane, that if you purchase PPC audit white label from you, same info you'll provide in the audit. So same info when you say the link we provided. So PPC audit, if you notice, PPC audit is actually a running PPC account where we go and say this all needs to be fixed. Yes, So you can purchase that and we will do the PPC audit. That's not using this tool, right?
No.
So that's different. PPC audit is a running PPC ad account, go and improve it. That's what is the purpose of PPC audit. And we also offer PPC boost, where we say, this is how you, these are the problems. And if you want us to fix it, we'll go and fix it for you also. And we can show in 2 weeks time that your performance improved. That's a great, great way to, get into it, taking over somebody's ad account by saying,
Yeah.
we can actually show you the problems and we can fix it. And you will see the result within 2 weeks. So that's a different thing. This is much more of a, again, reveal, is telling you what's happening and figuring out more.
Cool. A few other questions here. What are the 5,000 credits per month? So that's just in terms, like, it's how we think about when you're running searches, which is
Yes.
why I connected to, like, it's about 10 client pitches a month. But Avi?
Yeah. So basically credits is like every time a search happens, it requires hardware, resources, etc., for us to happen. So that's what the credit is. It translates to, it's a little bit more than 10, but we just kind of simplified it. If you run one every, five keyword searches, and for running for 1 week, then you'll basically end up being able to do 10 clients with this. If you do lesser, only 3 days, you'll end up being able to use it for longer. So we want to keep it simple. At least 10 you can cover for sure. That's what it is. Yeah. And so hopefully that helps. And the info pulls in the pitch deck right now. Just to be clear, it produces PDFs, which you can take it and put it in pitch deck as a PDF or cut and paste in whichever way you want. That's what it is. Our plan is that, man, it'll create that pitch deck slides for you directly instead of you taking the PDFs and putting it in them. That's what right now, right? It produces
Yeah.
PDF reports for each section which you want,
Yeah.
or a combination of everything in one PDF. Also, is
Exactly.
already works.
And then anybody that's a partner should also already in our member section in Circle, we do have this deck available, like our current pitch deck available, so that you can just use this tool and then plug those in right away. Eventually, yes, we'll have this creating the deck for you, so you don't have to do that manual work.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
All right. Well, that's that. Thank you all so much for coming on this kind of experiment with us, testing out a new platform. For the most part, had a few hiccups, but what overall went well. And if hopefully you kind of learned a thing or two about how to utilize competitive data and how to answer those top 3 questions that any business owner is going to have in terms of, like, how do I get more business? Is my spend actually efficient? And what the heck is my competitor doing? And how do I beat them? So if we're able to catch those, if you're able to, hopefully you're able to understand those, and then there will be recordings for this as well. Once this is done, we'll be able to send those out via email.
Yeah. By the way, the good thing about this platform, hopefully you guys will be the ones who are asking about replay. The same place where you sign up, go in, that's the same place you can get replay where you signed up. So the same URL, the invitation URL, if you go to, you'll get replay. We'll send out an email as well, of course, if you signed up as a link. But one of the things is, like, hey, if you missed it or you started later, just join that same link, after a few minutes here, and it'll already be there, replay. So that's something we are really looking forward to.
Awesome. All right. Thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your Thursday.
All right.